Hello, class. In this lecture, we will learn about the concepts of intersectionality. And in this unit, we will also explore what is intersectionality, where did the concept of intersectionality come from, and finally, we will learn what this concept offers to social work practice. As part of the learning objectives, by the end of this unit, we will be able to explain the concept of intersectionality and its principles, and we will be able to apply it to vulnerable populations. So let's get started. If we would be studying social psychology, we would start off with psychologists such as Erikson, Piaget, or maybe Freud. Inevitably, they draw our attention to development stages, and we'll be talking about socially and cognitive aspects of who we are. But instead of focusing on the internal aspects of who we are, intersectionality forces us to think about the external forces. This model of intersectionality looks at your position in society and how this position influences your personal characteristics, the kind of social roles associated with this position, and the activities believed to be appropriate, and other factors such as fears or choices that come with that position. These locations change or influence our identity and behavior. For example, who we are at work, it's different from who we are in the classroom or at home. Intersectionality points to four social locations that primarily determine who we are and shape our behavior and define who we are. The positions are race, gender, sexual orientation, and disabilities. Finally, social positions are dynamic. Race is done unto us, gender is done unto us. The concepts of heterosexual and homosexual were created for specific purposes, and yet, many instances, we choose these positions. In addition, we consider identity as a position. We realize that one's identity is a unique combination of a multitude of factors, with no one being exactly the same. So even though the concept of intersectionality has been around for decades through the writings of Black feminists, the term in itself became popular in 1989 when Kimberly Crenshaw looked at 3 cases of discrimination among Black women, and she found a pattern. So in the first case, the Grand Theft and General Motors. So in this case, Crenshaw pointed out that since General Motors hires blacks and hires women, the corporation was not found to discriminate against black women because they are not a separate category. They found that black women does not have a category of protection, and the court could only make judgment about discriminations against blacks or discriminations of black women. So black women did not have a case. And similar with the case of Moore, the plaintiff alleged that employers Hughes Helicopter practiced race and sex discrimination for promotions of upper level positions. Moore, however, presented statistics that black men compared to white men were statistically favored for upper level positions. Men were statistically favored over women, but the court concluded that black women's situation is not like that of black men or white women, so the court ruled that black women as a group could not demonstrate discrimination. Finally, in the case of Payne, 2 black women alleged discrimination against the pharmaceutical plant Travenol. The court ruled that black women could not represent an entire class of blacks. So what it was found is that it was true for black women um, but it could not be applied to black men. So the court found that there was extensive discrimination against black women as a group and ruled in their favor, but the court decreed that since the interest of black men was different, it could not extend the finding of discrimination of black women towards black men. So we see in these cases that the interest of black women um, is falling through the cracks. So as we're thinking of the concept of intersectionality, it helps me to think of intersectionality in a car accident. Imagine that you are waiting your turn at an intersection to make a turn. While you wait, you enter the intersection, soon to make a turn as soon as you are able to. It is at this point that you are most vulnerable. You can get hit multiple sides. Intersectionality teaches that you are vulnerable in multiple ways. That is, certain groups fall through the cracks because of the interconnection of multiple identities. In addition, intersectionality, it tells us that the multidimensionality and complexity of human culture experience where multiple identities interconnect. So that's intersectionality. And that individuals belong to multiple systems of inequality based on race, ethnicity, gender, social class, sexual orientation, age, and ableism. So again, no person is the same because of the different or multiple identities that interconnect. So in the image that you see here in this slide, we see Audre Lorde addressing the multiple vulnerabilities that women must endure. So I really like this quote. It is a great quote. It says, "There is no such thing as single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives." And this is very true because there is an intersection of race, gender, social class, which creates a matrix of domination. And within this matrix, individuals may experience disadvantage or privilege through their combination of identities. So, for example, immigrant women who lack legal immigration status may have limited immigrant proficiency, may not be informed about their rights, and they often find the lowest paying jobs that offer little protection, that offer little chance for advancement, and that in turn perpetuate their poverty. So this is an example of how these immigrant women are caught up in a matrix of domination. So now, as we conclude the lesson for this week, as part of your online discussion, we are going to be exploring a case study so that you are able to apply the concept of intersectionality as part of analyzing the case study and engaging in online discussion. Again, this is all for this week. If you have any questions, please